Today, the highest court in this country has recognized what our clients have been saying for decades. The $4 per person that the government has been paying under the Robinson Superior Treaty is shocking, and it makes a mockery of the treaty promise. Those are not my words. Those are the words of a unanimous Supreme Court of Canada.
That was legal counsel for a First Nation that received a landmark victory today. The Supreme Court of Canada ruled that the Crown dishonorably breached 2 treaties with First Nations by failing to increase the amount of money paid annually to each member for 150 years. The court said this has undermined the honor of the Crown. The ruling states, quote, "It is time for the parties to return to the council fire and rekindle the perpetual relationship that the Robinson treaties envision. Nothing less will demonstrate the Crown's commitment to reconciliation." Lawrence Wanakamik is the chief of Whitesand First Nation. Allan Odawa is chief of the Red Rock Indian Band, and Harley Schachter is part of the legal team for Red Rock and Whitesand First Nations. All 3 of them are here with me in studio. Hello, everybody. How are you doing?
Bonjour. I'm doing good.
Well, I'll start with you, Chief Wanakamik. This has been a long time coming. How did it feel when you saw this decision finally come out?
Oh, it was very emotional for me. It's been the lawsuit started 25 years ago, but it was before that really started, like say 15 years ago with the former chief, Doug Sinaway, the late Doug Sinaway. And it felt really good, especially when Harley and Caitlin came down the steps of the Supreme Court. I knew it was pretty good that the way they were walking down the steps, and I felt really good, and a kind of sense of relief that
yes.
That this was finally a good decision was
yes.
finally coming down.
The highest court in the land has issued a positive decision. Chief Odawa, I'll go to you. What would this decision mean, or what will this decision mean for your community?
Like what Chief Wanakamik said, that it's been going on for like 25 years. Mm-hmm. I was at the first band meeting when our people gave the decision to go ahead and fight this case, and now coming when Harley came down the stairs holding his paper, saying like, we got it, and it was pretty emotional because lots of our band members that were at that meeting, at the first meeting, they're no longer with us. They're in the spirit world now. So this is for them and our future. So, yeah.
And Mr. Schachter, from a legal perspective, you called this decision a victory for the First Nations. How significant is this ruling?
Well, it's significant not only for my clients, but for Canadians and other First Nations throughout Canada. It's a tremendous victory for democracy and the rule of law. In respect of my clients, tremendous victory in the sense of there is a treaty obligation. It is not barred by statutes of limitation. And the court has been quite clear to say that there has been a breach here. They actually said, and I'm just reading from their decision, for well over a century, the Crown has shown itself to be a patently unreliable and untrustworthy treaty partner in relation to the augmentation promise. That's the requirement to increase the annuity.
And that's some strong language. I've read quite a few Supreme Court of Canada decisions. That's some of the strongest language I've seen them use in this sort of situation, calling the current distribution of the annuities, quote, a mockery of the Crown's treaty promise. I'll put that to all 3 of you. How does it feel to hear the Supreme Court use that sort of language?
Well, it's like what you say. It's been, it is really hasn't been done before. Like, it feels good to have the High Court in Canada say that, and it really is for the people that that this decision is for. Like Chief Odawa had mentioned, the past people that were involved when the whole thing started. So it's a big impact.
Mm-hmm. And to you, Chief Odawa, what does it mean to hear the Supreme Court sort of chastise the Crowns for their historic conduct?
Yeah, like, yeah, pretty, it's a pretty big day today. I'm newly elected, so it's my 3 months in so far, but I've been in and out on the, excuse me, in and out on the court case, and yeah, it's a victory, yeah.
And Harley, what does this decision mean for these types of cases going forward? There was a lot discussed about the honor of the Crown, how treaties need to be interpreted and implemented. What does it mean on that front?
Yeah, on that front, it's important because for the very first time in Canada, the Supreme Court of Canada has focused on Anishinaabe principles of respect, responsibility, renewal, and reciprocity as key elements in the treaty relationship. And the Supreme Court was very, very careful to explain that treaty agreements are solemn agreements that must be diligently and purposely fulfilled in accordance with the treaty relationship. It's not, as they said, a one-time transactional bargain. These treaties are meant to last. And in terms of how I feel about the court talking about, using the strong language, excuse me, I want to be forward-looking. It's an opportunity for reconciliation. It's an opportunity to meet with Canada and Ontario and to resolve the agreement around the council fire. Meeting around the council fire is what my clients 25 years ago invited the Crowns to do, and now it's going to happen.
Well, there's two parts to this. That's the second part, right? The Crowns have been directed to engage in negotiation in good faith. I believe there's a 6-month timeline to essentially come to a resolution. Chief Wanakamik, what are you expecting to happen in those negotiations?
Well, I expect the best to happen and good negotiations happening. Hopefully soon, then later than the 6 months. We like to get this worked out. I know it's been a long time. Let's say 25 years. It's half of my lifetime. And it's really time to do some serious talking.
And you'll be sitting across from the Canadian and Ontario governments, Prime Minister
correct.
Justin
That's
Trudeau,
correct.
Premier Doug Ford. What message do you want to send them?
I want to send them that, come and work with us, come be partners, come and help us. And I'm actually been thinking of inviting them to my community and doing the, like Harley Schachter had mentioned, the council fire, and invite them to come to a sweat lodge, come to a pipe ceremony, and get this started.
Chief Odawa, on that same question, what would you tell the Premier and the Prime Minister if they were sitting where I'm sitting today?
We look forward to working with you to get it done and over with. Yeah, sooner than later.
And what are you expecting to see in those negotiations? I guess what are the main things to be ironed out in those talks?
Well, the main things to be ironed out are to identify how big the pie is that's shareable, and to figure out what the needs are of both communities, and to allocate the wealth in the treaty territory.
And you were far apart, if I recall. Somebody said it was more than $100 billion in the Crown. I think it was saying it was in the negatives.
That's correct, they were. But I think the Supreme Court of Canada has laid waste to that notion that they had no wealth derived from the treaty territory. In fact, it's ludicrous to suggest that. There's been untold billions taken from that treaty territory, and I expect that they're going to come to the table in earnest this time, not so much with lawyers in tow, but with a good heart.
Well, the Supreme Court of Canada has told them they have to, or they'll just land themselves back in court, I suppose, at the end of all this.
I don't wish that for anybody. I wish good success in the negotiations that must take place. And if everyone comes with a good heart and good intentions, it'll happen. Because although it's a large amount of money we're talking about, It's not money that would be spent unwisely, used unwisely, and no one in Canada should be afraid of a successful First Nations peoples succeeding economically. No one should be afraid of them having the funds to create a health care or a health center, or being able to fund economic activity for their community, in their community, which isn't only going to benefit the members of my clients, but benefits everybody.
Well, I'll end on that note. Chiefs, on a personal level, what would this settlement mean for your communities?
On a personal note, I think for me, I'm all for a good decision at the end of the road, but the road's not going to end. It's got to go continue, and I want to see for the community a better better future, not only for the whole community, but for the young ones. The children that are growing up and having a better life. Going down the road.
And Chief Odawa, last word to you.
Last words. It'll give my people a better life. It's the way it should be. Should have been since the 1850s. Should have been progressing along with Canada, but.
All right. A landmark decision, an important decision. I want to thank all three of you for joining me here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.